low self-esteem. I had to get me mine by any means.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red Vest, what you won't call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all, new topic. Will the pay-per-view price keep you from buying Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. undisputed super fight? Alright, y'all, so I think we're getting close. How close? I don't know. I just know it's inching toward the goalpost. We're inching toward the goalpost. Hopefully we're gonna get there. We're gonna score. But we might shoot a turnover and the fight might not happen. But I think we're getting close. But I do feel like there are question marks surrounding this fight. Not regarding whether it will happen or not, but more or less regarding the fight having success and being a successful, not only pay-per-view, but having success at the gate, and potentially having a rematch that's extremely successful as well. Now, I'm not too much worried about the gate. You know, I think the gate's going to do it, especially if they do it in the right location, i.e. Texas. If it's in Texas, it's a no-brainer. It's going to sell out. If it's in Vegas, I think it'll sell out too. It's just the arenas in Vegas are not as big as the one down in Texas. I mean, who can get any bigger than 100,000 fans in a stadium? Doesn't get much bigger than that unless you go overseas and start playing with soccer stadiums where they're putting hundreds of thousands of people into those stadiums. Plus, you know, soccer is a ridiculously popular sport once you get out of America. So, you know, with the pay-per-view price, how much is too much for this fight? You know, we had to pay $100 to watch MayPac. $100 for MayPac. And MayPac was probably one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I know a lot of people say it was a defensive matchup, and it was really defensive. Both fighters came with a defensive game. And I think Manny Pacquiao did surprise a lot of people with his defense during the MayPac fight, because it wasn't like he got hit a lot, which is, hey, to this day, I still feel like Manny Pacquiao won that fight. But on the record books, he lost, so it is what it is. But I think a lot of people were surprised with his defense. But the thing I hated about that fight was it wasn't very exciting to watch. It was a ugly battle from beginning to end. Neither guy really scored too many big shots, and sometimes it might be a tale of the talent levels. You know, the talent levels are so high, it's hard to do what you would do versus a less talented fighter. So perhaps if they were in there with less talented fighters, there would have been a lot more action, either guy. But because they are so talented, it was hard for either one of them to score and score big off of a certain punch. So I'm feeling kind of like, hey, you know, Terence Crawford or Spence Jr., supposedly the best two in the business. The talent level should be extremely high for this fight. Are we going to end up with another MayPac type of fight because the talent level is so high that these guys, it's going to be hard for one guy to get the upper hand on the other guy, so we might end up in another defensive fight that kind of ends up as a boring fight because there's not a lot of action going on. And if they're pricing this fight somewhere around the $100 range, would you actually be willing to pay for that? Would you actually be willing to shell out $100 for MayPac 2 just with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford? You know, the names have changed, but the fight is exactly the same. Two different, you know, different styles of fighting. You know, there's 4 different types of fighters here that I'm talking about. You got Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford, and Errol Spence. Some of them do similar things like Crawford and Pacquiao, and then you got Spence and Mayweather, who kind of got their own thing that they do. Mayweather is a defensive technician. Manny Pacquiao, speed power fighter. Terence Crawford, speed power fighter, to it. Not as good as Pacquiao, but in his own right. And then you got Errol Spence, who's kind of like just a hybrid of all of that. You know, he doesn't do one thing extremely well. He's just very good at boxing, using his size, using his jab, and that's what puts him over the top most of the time. So, you know, if this fight does end up in a MayPac style, like kind of like a deadlock because their talent levels are so high, would you be disappointed in that fight? Would you be angry at yourself for buying that fight, especially if it's upwards of $100? If you knew this prior to the fight happening, would you still be interested in purchasing it, or would you be like, I'll just stream it? Because me personally, I'm kind of on the fence now about buying this fight. Definitely want to watch it. Do I want to actually buy this fight? That's a totally different question. I think if it's around the $50 price point, I would buy it. I'll buy it. I'll be willing to shell out the money. And, you know, especially for the first one. Would it be in the first fight? I think we have potential for fireworks, and I do think it'll be an exciting fight, but I'm kind of worried about because I did purchase the MayPac fight, highly disappointed with that fight, spent a lot of money on that fight, and I refuse to let that happen to me ever again. So I'm kind of on the fence at the moment about whether I want to purchase Spence versus Crawford. Is that fair to those two guys if I was to stream the fight? You know what? It is what it is. To be honest with you, I don't owe Terence Crawford or Errol Spence anything. They don't owe me anything except for an exciting fight. Now, would it be in the first fight? You have the potential, once again, of it being some fireworks involved in the fight. And if it's under $50, around the $50, I would be willing to purchase it. Now, let's say we get the first fight. It's a crappy fight. There is no excitement in the fight. It's a stalemate, kind of like MayPac was. Would you buy the second fight? Who cares who wins? There's a winner and there's going to be a rematch. Would you even be willing to support the second fight after getting your money taken, especially if it's over $50, around the $100 mark? Would you still be willing to support that second fight after getting ripped off for the first fight? Because in the second one, if the first one went that way 9 times out of 10, the second one might be a little bit more exciting, but it's probably going to go the same. It's probably going to go the same exact way. So, I think personally, they got to be real careful with how much they price this fight at. Especially on pay-per-view, the ticket sales for the venue, I'm not going to see it live. I'm not driving all the way to Texas or to Vegas or whatever they decide to have it just to watch a boxing fight, But I would be willing to support it on television for the right price. That's the key words, though, for the right price. What do y'all think about that? Let me know down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share, subscribe, tell a friend, holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but you're more than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there if you want a response. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me, and we are well committed, prayer submitted, got a plan and I hope that God permitted.